The Nexon gets a petrol, a diesel and an electric powertrain. And now Tata Motors has added a CNG too. Panoramic Sunroof, Turbo-Petrol engine, connected car tech and CNG. There's no odd man out here because the Nexon iCNG has it all. There are 8 variants and prices start at 8,99,000 rupees and go up to 15,49,000 rupees. So quite the choice. Because of the twin cylinder tech, the boot space isn't compromised much, and my colleague Apoorv, who's 6 feet tall, can easily fit into it, as you can see. The turbo petrol with the CNG drives well. It has enough grunt. But the bad news is it's still very noisy. And there's more bad news on the fuel efficiency front. Its rivals have more. So that's the gist of the Nexon iCNG. But if you want to know more about Tata Motors' latest iCNG model, continue watching. CNG is becoming very popular these days. So many people are preferring the greener fuel option. So much so that even Tata Motors jumped on the bandwagon because the demand for CNG is on the rise. There are around 6,000 pumps in the country already, and Mr. Nitin Gadkari mentioned at the latest SIAM convention that 20,000 pumps will be active in India by 2030. Like many CNG models in its stable, the Nexon also has an industry-first USP. It's the first turbo-petrol engine to get a CNG kit. Visually, it looks the same, but if you squint your eyes enough in the right direction, you'll find that tiny little iCNG badge on the tailgate. Cabin's the same too, but you get a panoramic sunroof here, finally. But it's only available on the top spec Peerless Persona, while the others still get a single pane sunroof. But did you really need a panoramic sunroof here? Though it helps add airy feeling to the cabin and it feels a bit less cramped here. And you also get a CNG button on this touch panel here which lights up in green and not orange. Nice touch. A big problem with CNG has always been the lack of boot space, and Tata's twin cylinder technology helps carving out some area to store your luggage. Well, it's 61 litres less than the standard Nexon, but enough to fit my colleague Apoorv, who's 6 feet tall and weighs 68 kgs. You get the same 1.2 litre turbo-petrol engine as the standard Nexon, and obviously it develops less power in CNG mode. But we fail to understand why Tata didn't give this one an automatic, because the Tiago and Tigor do get one. The 6-speed manual in this remains sluggish. The engine is still very noisy as the revs build up. And even with fewer horses, there's enough grunt for the city. And even at highway speeds, it doesn't feel strained. Power starts to build up from around 2000 RPM, and there is good enough initial acceleration. The Nexon starts directly in CNG modes thanks to Tata Motors using only one ECU, and switching between petrol and CNG mode remains seamless. You won't feel much of a difference in performance compared to the petrol mode, and that means you can drive in CNG mode for most of the time, which is good. It returns a claimed fuel efficiency that is less than that of the Maruti Suzuki Brezza, Fronx and Toyota Urban Cruiser Tizer. With the 2 CNG tanks, the weight of the Nexon has gone up slightly, but Tata Motors is remaining tight-lipped about it. The added weight can be felt during initial acceleration too, but it isn't very bad. The added weight can also be felt, albeit marginally, over bumps and potholes. The Nexon always had a good ride, and this strong point still remains. Just like the standard Nexon, the CNG version is also fairly loaded, and if you want to know what all it packs, click the link in the description below. The ICE version of the Nexon got a 5-star rating from Global NCAP, and the Nexon.EV2 got a 5-star rating from Bharat NCAP. While the iCNG hasn't been tested yet, we don't expect this crash test result to be any different. The Nexon iCNG gets 8 variants in total spread across the same 4 personas as the petrol version, and all of them are roughly 1 lakh to 1,30,000 rupees dearer than their petrol counterparts. While it is the first ever turbo-petrol car with a CNG kit, it is not the first subcompact SUV to get this bi-fuel technology, and it isn't the most affordable either. The Fronx has the lower starting price, while the Brezza has the highest starting price. And the Nexon is much more expensive at the top end because it offers so much more compared to its rivals, which also includes the Tizer. Tata Motors is democratizing CNG by giving buyers so many options to choose from. The Nexon iCNG drives well, is priced well, and is loaded to the brim with features, compelling other manufacturers to follow suit. But the engine is noisy and the gearbox could be smoother. So if you're in the market for a subcompact CNG SUV, you can't really go wrong with the Nexon iCNG if you can live with the caveats.